Parakeets are one of these sorts of pets that a lot of people consider a starter pet. And while it can make an ideal first pet for a variety of situations, we want to make sure that you have all the purchase considerations in mind when you think about, do I want to own a parakeet? So the first thing that you have to ask yourself is, what do you want to do with your pet bird? Parakeets are a nice bird that is highly social, and when you come to Petland Racine to get a parakeet, they're going to be young, and you're going to be able to work with them and make them friendly if you want. However, there are circumstances where maybe you just want to have parakeets in your home to enjoy their little chirping and vocalization and chittering, in which case, if you're going to have a parakeet in that sort of a circumstance, you might consider getting it a friend or a group of parakeets. Because parakeets are social, if they're not interacting with you, you've got to get them something that they can interact with. So having a variety of parakeet friends might make that bird a little bit more inclined to be happy in your home. Parakeets, being a small bird, are sensitive to their environment. So when you consider where you're going to place your bird in your home, the room choice matters. Kitchens or bathrooms are not good places for parakeets because a parakeet has an enormous lung volume in their body, and cooking odors, nonstick cookware, cleaning supplies, those sorts of things can potentially be toxic to your bird. Also aerosol sprays and also Glade plug-ins, those sorts of air fresheners, none of those things are good to have around your bird. So you can't put them in an area where you're using those sorts of things a lot. Self-cleaning ovens, that's another thing. The odor that's produced by non-stick surfaces, if it's heated up to a high temperature, is toxic to birds. It even says it right on the cookware when you buy it. So it is important that you don't put your bird in an area where it's likely to encounter those odors. Bathrooms are a bad choice simply because the cleaning solvents, things that you might use to disinfect your bathroom, might be potentially harmful to your pet. You also don't want to put them in an area that has drafts or great fluctuations in temperature. And it's good for the bird to be able to be in a spot where it's going to have fairly consistent traffic, meaning that if you put it in a side room and you only occasionally visit that side room and it's unpredictable when you're going to visit that side room, it makes it a little bit scarier for your bird because they don't know when someone's going to be in the room. Versus if it's in like a living room where there's fairly predictable traffic every day, that allows the bird to kind of get some sense of what is normal in this environment. The other thing to consider is, do you have any allergies? Birds, when they get new feathers, those feathers come out like a little spike that's coated in wax, and then that wax kind of crumbles off and then you have a new feather. That generates some dust. In captivity, birds are going through a continuous molt, meaning that they're going to get new feathers all the time. And for that reason, you're going to want to make sure that you don't have feather allergies or dust allergies, because birds are going to be dusty. When you think about the food that a bird eats, parakeets are going to eat a variety of things. Seed, pelleted diet, fresh fruits and vegetables. These things also can have some dust associated with them. So that's something. The other thing then is, of course, where are you going to house them? You need a parakeet-specific cage. When we get into the environmental needs of the bird, we'll talk about habitats. But it has to be the proper bar size, the right amount of space. That's all appropriate. And of course, you have to think about, if you're going to have multiple birds, you will need larger housing. One other thing that is an important consideration for having a parakeet in your home is the types of other pets that you may already have. This is a small animal, so if you have a large dog or if you have cats in your home, you just have to make sure that when you're interacting with the bird outside of its habitat, that those other pets are not going to have immediate access to the bird if it were to flutter away. And when we think about the sorts of habitat in terms of a cage that you would provide for your bird, you definitely want to make sure it's going to be secure around those other pets. And the other thing to consider is other pets such as ferrets have a high prey drive. And so if you're going to have ferrets in the same household as parakeets, they're not the sort of pets that should ever interact, because the ferret is going to be what a ferret is, and he might be very interested in eating the parakeet. So separate room, closed door, that's fine, but not right up close, right on each other's face. Birds are not going to do well in those sorts of circumstances, and birds can kind of tell, ooh, that thing wants to eat me. So from that standpoint, you don't want your parakeet to be living in a constant state of fear that all these other creatures in your home are trying to eat it. And then the final consideration is going to be who in the household is going to be in charge of the immediate care of the pet. This is a bird that children can often get as their first pet, but you have to really gauge the individual child's ability to participate in the care and maintenance activities for the bird. And we have to do this in a way that's fun and safe for everyone. We don't want the bird to be harmed at any point in time. We certainly don't want kids to get hurt. When you're first working with a parakeet, they have to learn to trust you. If a parakeet were to bite you, it's not usually even going to break the skin. It's like a little pinch. But the reaction that occurs after a bite can cause the bird to bite more frequently or harder. So it's very important that we approach the parakeet with a sense of calmness. We don't scream, we don't make a lot of loud noises around the bird, because the bird's not going to trust us or feel comfortable if that sort of stuff is going on. So these are some of our preliminary thoughts about when you're going to get a parakeet. You know, is this the good type of pet for you? A parakeet in your home with the proper environment, nutrition, and mental stimulation could be expected to live around 15 years. There's certainly times in the distant past where the life expectancy of a parakeet was considered 4 or 5 years. Now we know so much more about meeting the needs of a pet like this, and so you want to make sure that you are actually going to be able to provide for all the bird's needs to get that full lifespan out of a pet like a parakeet. So we're going to talk about all the rest of the pet's 4 basic needs. It's behavioral, maintenance, it's nutritional, and it's environmental. So we'll be showing you those different things in a video for each different topic, and we'll get to exploring whether or not a parakeet is the right pet for you.